Conquest is one of the oldest, most brutal, and ruthless warriors in the Invincible universe. For over 5,000 years, he has never failed a mission, lost a battle, and behind him lies a vast number of enslaved worlds and races driven into servitude. Over the centuries, he has honed his skills, becoming a more and more perfect machine designed solely for subjugation and destruction, all in the name of the great Viltrum Empire. Right now, we're about to learn the story of the rise and fall of one of the greatest warriors and most formidable enemies of Invincible, who left a bloody mark on history. The story of Conquest is inextricably linked to the history of his people. Viltrumites are a highly advanced alien race of incredibly powerful humanoids from the planet Viltrum. They were obsessed with the brutal pursuit of physical superiority. For this reason, they initiated a mass purge on their home planet to rid themselves of the weak and undeserving. The next step, after the Civil War, was to unite and direct their destructive potential outward. They created an empire that grew at a staggering pace for thousands of years, with their dictatorship spreading across the vast reaches of space. The Viltrumites offered conquered races advantages, such as advanced technologies and the cessation of global conflicts in exchange for absolute loyalty. Otherwise, they faced total annihilation. The empire grew into a massive organism, devouring worlds. With each passing year, it became more powerful, and at the same time, more relentless. Their enemies created a weapon against which the Viltrumites' physical might was useless. They synthesized a deadly, monstrous virus that became the point of no return for the great empire. It only affected the Viltrumites, destroying them from the inside out, targeting their genetic code exclusively, and spreading at an incredibly fast rate. There was no cure for it. At first, they tried to isolate the infected, but it was already too late. The Scourge Virus had infected almost the entire population of the planet. Those who survived were left to deal with devastating side effects. For a short period after recovery, their invulnerability and strength were significantly diminished. It was after the exposure to the Scourge Virus that Conquest lost his eye and arm during a battle with the Ragnars. By that time, he had lost his former power and invincibility. The population of the planet Viltrum was rapidly declining, with the virus claiming countless lives, and some were killed while they were still weak. This continued until, from a mighty alien army of 49,950 warriors, only 50 remained. A colossal 99.9% of their numbers were wiped out. They found themselves on the brink of extinction, but by some miracle, their empire managed to survive. The planet Viltrum became a hollow historical monument to the fallen victims. From that moment on, only one Viltrumite was sent to conquer each new planet. Their dominance over the galaxy continued, though it was now mostly based on empty threats of their former power. Gene mixing with other races, which had once been strictly forbidden, was now, on the contrary, encouraged. The results were mixed, until Omni-Man arrived on Earth, and until Mark was born, who became proof that human DNA compatible with Viltrumites. Earth became an important point, an opportunity to restore former glory. It was meant to become a breeding camp for Viltrumite offspring. Now you know that Conquest is one of the few survivors of the Scourge Virus, but he was briefly weakened during the outbreak. It was during that time that his right arm was severed, and his right eye was damaged. Later, the arm was replaced with a prosthetic, but the consequences of those events remained with him forever. It was Conquest, who was presumably second in strength, entrusted with the mission to conquer Earth. This emphasizes the significance of the task, as Conquest had never failed a mission, and every planet he was sent to was successfully subdued. Just before he arrived on our planet, Mark Grayson encountered some horrific events. The mad scientist Angstrom Levy attempted to turn the life of the superhero into a living hell. Using his ability to travel between dimensions, Angstrom gathered the most ruthless versions of Invincible from the farthest corners of the multiverse. From his side, Levy offered them the chance to fulfill all their desires. In return, they were to create absolute chaos on Earth, particularly for the original Mark Grayson, so that people across even the most distant corners of the planet would come to despise and fear him. Levy succeeded in his plan, and the malicious doppelgangers tarnished Mark's reputation, leading him to believe that everything that happened was his fault. During this event, millions of people died. Just as Mark was beginning to recover from the recent tragedies, Conquest arrived on Earth. The Viltrumite acknowledged that he didn't come to Earth to expand the Empire. Above all, he came for entertainment. A battle ensued, and the old warrior relished every moment of it. He felt his superiority. After all, what could a boy do against him? What could a mere human oppose, an entity created for war? The conqueror allowed Mark to beat him, intentionally exposing himself to blows for a while. When the conqueror decided to take the fight seriously, Mark, filled with fear, tried to reason with him. However, the Viltrumite was not here for heartfelt conversations. He came for battle. He tried to provoke Invincible, declaring that Mark was the last line of defense between humanity and the invader. Just then, Oliver, Mark's half-brother, appeared, managing to momentarily distract the villain. Mark, realizing the danger, asked him not to interfere. The second round began. The battle was fought at incredible speed, moving from one part of the planet to another. Conquest considered his mission beneath him, as conquering Earth was a task that would take mere minutes. As Mark grew weaker and braced for his grim fate, Oliver rushed to his aid once again. The superhero begged his brother to leave, but the younger one was convinced that together they could stand a chance. At that moment, Conquest shifted his attention to the new target. Just as the villain was about to crush Oliver, Mark summoned his last bit of strength and launched a desperate attack. A portal opened, and Cecil Stedman emerged, accompanied by a medical team who took Oliver away with them. Cecil was informed that Adam Eve, who had been keeping an eye on Mark through the news, wanted to teleport to help him. From Cecil's words, it became clear that after the attack by the evil versions of Invincible, half of the superheroes were either recovering from injuries or struggling with post-traumatic stress disorder. According to Cecil, only 6 people on Earth would be able to last more than a minute in battle against Conquest. Despite the recent injuries sustained in the battle with the Invincibles, Eve found the strength to convince Cecil to teleport her to Mark. The superhero does not want his beloved to suffer, but he cannot cope with the enemy. Conquest deals a crushing blow to Mark, seriously damaging his leg, and then destroying the energy sphere, deals a fatal blow to Eve. He recognizes the beauty of the girl and her love. He even expresses regret for what happened to her. On the one hand, for the Viltrumites, love breeds weakness, but at the same time, there is something worthy of admiration in it. While Mark cried over the body of his beloved, the invader, with a smile on his face, thanked the superhero for the fun he gave him. It was extremely rare that he received such freedom of action as on this mission. Usually, Conquest was bound by all sorts of conditions. Do not do this, do not do that. But on Earth, his hands were untied. He was told to take over the planet no matter what. When Conquest stated Eve's death, Mark, mad with pain, with tears in his eyes, gathered all his rage and anger. The Invincible's blow was so powerful that Conquest's right metal arm was destroyed. Now he did not restrain himself, and in an animalistic rage, he tore at other people's flesh. He did not even hesitate to bite. At some point, Eva came to her senses and directed a powerful attack at Conquest. But he was still standing on his feet. Despite many injuries, including broken arms, Mark continued a series of furious blows. He beat Conquest until his face turned into a shapeless mass. Realizing that the battle was over, Mark gathered his last strength and crawled to Eve. Not understanding how she survived, he was incredibly happy to see her. Having survived hell, the guys confessed their love to each other. However, the story with Conquest was not over. Cecil transported the alien to a secret agency outpost, where his body was placed 6 miles below the Earth's surface and sealed with 400-ton block of solid tempered steel. In case of an escape attempt, he would explode immediately. All of this was done to learn as much as possible about the aliens and their plans regarding Earth. When Conquest regained consciousness, He was shocked that Mark had spared him, but soon, with a jump, he freed himself from the shackles. His meeting with the ruler, Thrag, revealed new details. The leader of the Viltrumites considered Conquest nothing more than a wild animal, thirsty for blood, barely controllable. However, after begging for forgiveness, Conquest was given a second chance. During their next encounter, Mark did everything he could to strangle his opponent. The Conqueror tried to shake him off and even gutted the poor soul. But Mark didn't loosen his grip until Conquest stopped breathing. Thus, the warrior, hardened in thousands, possibly even tens of thousands, of battles, who had known no defeat for 5,000 years, lost twice to Earth's hero. After the leader Thrag, Conquest is the second strongest in the Empire. His name itself is a loud title. He is a conqueror, a world enslaver. His abilities surpass those of most of his kin. Hypersonic speed? Easy. His body is a machine, tireless and unyielding. He can fight and move indefinitely without feeling the slightest weakness. He survives in the most extreme conditions, able to withstand incredible injuries and continue fighting as if nothing happened. His skin is incredibly tough. Crushing physical blows and destructive energy attacks won't stop him from standing firm. But even if the injury is severe, his regenerative abilities allow him to recover at a terrifying speed. Such was Conquest's era, a story of greatness, strength, and destruction, ending in his fall. But at the twilight of his endless battle, the moment came when his name was shattered and his title lost all meaning. It was as if the wrath of thousands and thousands of victims, consumed by his merciless hand, was embodied in one man, Mark Grayson, and brought him an ignoble demise. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment. See you soon.